another episode of the IFRS 17 podcast. I'm your host Faiza Farooq, and today we have Razi Zaidi with us. Thank you, Razi, for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.
In a previous episode, we talked about building the IFRS 17 tool. Today, we'll be talking about enhancing an IFRS 17 tool. To kick things off, could you share any key reasons why enhancing an IFRS tool is essential?
Sure. So, in my opinion, any good tool, any good software goes through a process of evolution, and to achieve that, you have to make some improvements, you have to make some enhancements in the tool. And for an IFRS 17 tool as well, there are a few reasons why you would need to enhance it. So first of all, it could be regulatory changes. So let's say there's some new regulatory requirement that has just come up, and you need to add that requirement into your tool. Other than that, it could be some user feedback. So let's say some of the users of your software, they demand a specific feature. They want to add some specific feature, so you can add that through an enhancement. And then also you can add new options in the tool.
So what do you consider a common challenge faced when enhancing an IFRS 17 tool?
When enhancing an IFRS 17 tool, I think one of the most common challenges we faced and usually people face is that you have to make sure that new improvements or enhancements don't disrupt the existing functionality of your tool. So you have to make sure that whatever improvements, whatever options, features you're adding, they must be in a controlled way. So you should make sure that you have complete visibility of all the consequences of the updates that you're making in the tool, and they should be thoroughly tested in all circumstances, in all scenarios, so that you're sure that the existing functionalities produce the same results, same accurate results that they were producing earlier, and none of the feature is disrupted.
Can you provide an example of a successful enhancement to an IFRS 17 tool?
Sure. So we made a lot of enhancements in the tool throughout the journey. So it started off some mid-year last year, and since then we have been making a lot of improvements. So one successful enhancement that we made was related to adding a new revenue recognition pattern. So earlier there was only one pattern that was allowed in the tool, which was a uniform pattern. But then seeing the demand for the new products that the various products that the companies have, which require a pattern that is not uniform, so we added those patterns as well, such as a risk increasing pattern, and a couple of other options are also added there. So that is one. Other than that, we have made a lot of other improvements as well. Other enhancements have been made in the tool.
So what is the process of a typical enhancement?
So if you talk about IFRS 17 tool itself, the process of a typical enhancement can be broken down into different parts. So first part is basically where you collect feedback from users, and the purpose of that is to basically list down all the potential improvements or enhancements you want to make. Then you have to categorize the points into, let's say, one is a cosmetic change, the other is some technical change, or it could be a process change. Different categories. You can first categorize those. Then third is basically prioritizing. So what is the most important thing that you want to update first? So you have to prioritize each one of them. Then third phase is basically to estimate efforts. So let's say it's a cosmetic change, it does not require a lot of efforts, it will not require a lot of resources and time, so you can maybe do that earlier. So you have to estimate all the efforts and also timelines. And then the next part is where you actually develop the changes or the updates. and after the development is done, testing is very important. So you test all the updates in different scenarios with different sample data. So that is a typical, a typical process of updating a tool.
Thank you for sharing your insights on the enhancement of the IFRS 17 tool. So before we wrap up, could you tell us any exciting projects or enhancements that you have on the horizon for your IFRS 17 tool?
Okay, yeah. So we have, so apart from the enhancement and the improvement that we were talking about, so those were specifically related to the A17 tool. But using the same engine, the calculation engine, we have developed a few other variations of the tool. So I'm calling them variations because it uses the same tool, same basic engine, but the purpose of those tools is entirely different. So like one tool that we have developed is for business planning. Currently companies are building their plans based on IFRS 4, but going forward they will have to calculate their business plans, make their business plans be using IFRS 17. So to do that, to accomplish that, we have built a tool which allows the companies to input different assumptions. So let's say the business that they will write in future, so some projections and other assumptions they can input in that tool. So it can produce business plans based on IFRS 17 for a few years. So that is one part. So the second thing that we have developed around the same basic calculation engine is the PA eligibility testing tool. This tool is basically used to test if your group of contracts is PAA eligible or not. So some companies, mostly general insurance companies which write short-term business, they require such a tool to decide whether their group of contract can be measured using PAA, because normally if a company writes a business which has a duration of more than 1 year, then it is not directly eligible for PAA. So this tool basically compares GMM results versus PAA results and sees for materiality. So if the two results are materially different, then then the companies cannot use PAA. They will have to stick with GMM. But if it is not material, then they can use PAA.
Thank you, Razi, for joining us today and sharing these valuable insights with us.
It was a pleasure.
That's all for today's episode of the IFRS 17 podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this discussion on the enhancement of IFRS 17 tool informative. For more such videos, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel.